The malicious way that CNN's going on a fox hunt.
Yeah, so we spoke about this before, how CNN essentially has taken the Capitol protests as a sign that they can go after anyone.
Yeah, Jake Tapper's lost it.
They were able to get rid of Donald Trump from Twitter and so on and so forth, so they've decided, well, we can just get rid of our main competition, Fox News. And, I mean, they're not wrong, like, it's a perfect opportunity for them. But I think it's very much an open door into how they're thinking and too much of a mask-off moment. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to replay the first video, which is just to remind us this was the response to the Capitol Hill protests. So if we can play this one.
Now we're talking about domestic audience in the United States. And the challenge is going to be partially that, ISIS did not have a domestic constituency in the United States Congress. But there is over half of the Republicans in Congress voted to overturn the election. And there will be a continual political pressure on the companies to not take it seriously. So I think first you have to focus on those violent extremists, and those companies have to be brave in that way. And second, we have to turn down the capability of these conservative influencers to reach these huge audiences. There are people on YouTube, for example, that have a larger audience than daytime CNN. And they are extremely radical and pushing extremely radical views. And so it's up to the Facebooks and YouTubes in particular to think about whether or not they want to be effectively cable networks for disinformation. And then we're going to have to figure out the OAN and Newsmax problem, that these companies have freedom of speech, but I'm not sure we need Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and such to be bringing them into tens of millions of homes. This is, allowing people to seek out information if they really want to, but not pushing it into their faces, I think is where we're going to have to go here.
I mean, absolute extremism.
Mask off, just
like
full on.
MAGA are essentially ISIS to us.
Yeah.
And therefore,
why should they be able to be speaking to the public?
But it's not even, just let's say you're a Republican who doesn't like Donald Trump or whatever, right? Anyone conservative who's a conservative influencer on any social media needs to go. And also, by the way, Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, all of them need to be cut off. Yeah. Like, they were openly just out there saying it. And again, this is not an endorsement of what happened to the Capitol or anything. We completely disagree.
No. But the point is, they're looking at the free market and saying we're losing.
Yeah, but it's the mask-off moment of like, wow, we actually have a bunch of power. This is a perfect opportunity for us to just crush our enemies. Like, we're not even going to pretend to be liberal or tolerant or anything, so on and so forth, which they're just liars. And Oliver Darcy, who works at CNN, tweeted out that, the comment from that segment saying that they need to shut down everyone. And then, alluded to the fact that he'd been contacting different providers and asking them to get rid of OAN and Newsmax and presumably Fox News as well. And they said no, or they refused to comment and were not,
well, this is exactly what Oliver Darcy did with Alex Jones after Alex Jones confronted him in the Capitol building.
He then went after Alex Jones.
Yeah, he then got Alex Jones deplatformed.
So why doesn't he feel like he can then do it to Fox News or Newsmax?
He's clearly trying.
Yeah, he was clearly trying. And
it's one thing getting rid of Alex Jones, though. It's another thing getting rid of Fox,
And I think there was significant backlash to this. I mean, you can see some of the ratio there, but the result is that they're far less mask off in recent times, but still pushing for the same thing. Yeah. So this was them trying to defend that. No, we're not going after anyone. Like, we believe in free speech. We swear. So let's play this.
Dishonest cries of censorship are filling Fox's airwaves with charges that these guys right here are being suppressed. The word censorship's been invoked almost 400 times on Fox this month alone, and more than 300 times on Newsmax. Post-insurrection, a book publisher decided that it did not want to be in business with Senator Josh Hawley. So he's been on a national TV tour claiming he's muzzled. And Tucker Carlson is telling viewers that this network, CNN, is trying to force Fox News off the air, which is patently false.
Right, but the video evidence seems to show the opposite, mate.
Yeah.
Like, you guys were calling up their providers saying, we need to get Fox News off the airways. Why are you providing people with misinformation, unlike us, trusted CNN?
Unreal.
And taking no responsibility for the fact that, no, you are doing this. Like, you can rally at the fact that Fox News still transmits and therefore their voice isn't being suppressed. But you are actively trying. You are actively calling up their providers and saying, you need to go.
I mean, we literally just watched you doing it. Brian.
It's like a week apart.
I don't believe that Brian believes what he's saying.
No, and the best part of this is that's the intro to the segment for him, and then the rest of the segment is him after he's pretended, oh no, I'm a liberal and tolerant and I believe that people should have freedom of speech. But what about harm mitigation? That's fine. We're going to mitigate harm. That's totally different. So let's play the second clip where he's trying to argue that what he wants is not censorship. He swears.
But while some cry cancel culture, let me suggest a different way to think about this. a harm reduction model.
Well, that just sounds like
But
cancel
reducing
culture
a
with extra
liar's
steps.
reach is not the same as censoring freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is different than freedom of reach. And algorithmic reach is part of the problem. But this is bigger than Facebook. This harm happens all over the place. In the words of a recently fired Fox News editor, news consumers are both overfed and malnourished at the same time, gorging on empty informational calories, indulging their sugar fixes of self-affirming half-truths and even outright lies. It's impossible to make all those lies go away, but they can be reduced. All right? Harm reduction. But instead we get this over on Newsmax. Look at this. Biden's plan to destroy America. It looks like some crazy comic book movie or something, or some action hero movie. That's what we get on Newsmax. Here's what we get on Fox. Tucker Carlson declaring that unity for Dems means locking up their opponents. And, quote, you can now be arrested for saying the wrong thing. What? And the government is at war with its own people. What? This apocalyptic stuff is day in, day out on these channels. It is part of a radicalization pipeline that pits neighbors against neighbor and lets fear overpower courage.
Oh my God! Right, I mean, where to begin? Like,
I know,
did
right?
he miss the last 4 years of his own reporting about Russia on Trump? Right, this radicalization fear pipeline that pits neighbor against neighbor, just staggering.
Let's talk about the Russians taking over GameStop for a second.
Exactly.
Where's that come from,
And the Nazis on Telegram taking it over. You know, like so all this stuff. But oh my God, just
So the first point I wanted to make there was he's actually, you saw as I laid out what their goals were, which is to go after conservative commentators on social media, noticeably Facebook, because Facebook is where conservatives perform the best at the moment by the metrics. And then we need to also go after all the boomers watching TV that we don't like, because, you know,
Tucker Carlson is telling things that are true.
They are saying things which are true, which go against our narrative, therefore they have to go. And they've won. That first segment, he was talking about Mark Zuckerberg saying that he wants to depoliticize all of Facebook, which you can see as some level as like, oh, that's just him trying to make it more of a social media but that doesn't make any sense. Like, politics is part of social media, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
But the point is obviously, well, conservatives are beating us on Facebook, therefore we'll just ban all politics, and therefore it's a net win for the left.
That's true.
And they've won. They've got that. Mark Zuckerberg says he is implementing that, so CNN got their first goal. They've achieved it. You know, the conservative commentators who are doing well on Facebook, you know, I could skirt around all I want, but it's Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
It's Ben Shapiro. That's the problem.
Good
for
him.
So they've got to take him out. So, you know, good luck, Ben. You need to build up on other platforms because this is scummy and they're doing it.
Yes.
But then also complaining that, well, we've won that one. Let's keep going. Let's keep going for the news channels now. We need to get rid of Newsmax. We need to get rid of Fox News because they're polluting your brain, don't you know, with misinformation. When they say things that are like they're coming for us, they're out of their minds. I mean, that's why we need to shut them down. I mean, that's the literal thought process. And it's like, okay, you are not taking yourself seriously. But of course, you put the point you made there, which is that, you know, misinformation, factual reporting, so on and so forth. I can't get out of my head the number of CNN memes that come around the fact that they spread misinformation. Best one of all of the last year, fiery but mostly peaceful protests after police shooting, where the reporter is standing behind a bunch of cars on fire.
There was also another one where one of the reporters was standing next to a burning building, and there was another one where they were interviewing protesters and they were getting abuse from the protesters. The protesters had thrown things at the reporter. And all Black Lives Matter protesters, and they were all trying to run defense, saying, well, I mean, mostly it's been fine. It's like,
I'm sure there's 3 people dead, but, you know, it's only 3. Just blatant, like, you are partisan. Don't give me this BS. And sure, Fox News is partisan. If they want to run I think it was Fox News actually around the Chiron, Biden's plan to destroy America.
It was,
and it's funny. Like, okay, but we all know that Fox News is like that, and you come to Fox News with that expectation. But people should remember that that's what you're coming to with all other.
I mean, really, I think we should address why that's not wrong.
But that's the thing. You could argue against it or whatnot. But fine, who cares? Yeah. Like, but you know, CNN to sit on that high horse and be like, but we're proper news. We report only the facts, unlike the fake news propagandists polluting our democracy.
But they're the ones who have been promoting the, like, you know, free hysteria about the Proud Boys, about the Capitol storming. Jake Tapper, and here's like, oh, this was an insurrection. It's like, really, the QAnon shaman was part of an insurrection, was he? Come on.
I mean, there were endless different, you know, clip sections.
Baked Alaska ruined the Republic.
But I just wanted to show some of the memes because I just love this image so much. Mostly contained meltdown at nuclear power plant. CNN reporting from Chernobyl. And the next one, Hindenburg, fiery but mostly successful flight. And I mean, this is the state of your news network. So if you want to go after anyone else for some kind of
misinformation,
yeah. Is there one more? I think there's one more.
But there are just so many examples. I did a video a few years back. It's just nothing but CNN clips where they're just telling outright lies.
Yeah,
just telling outright lies. It's like,
okay, don't worry. So I won't. I can't take these people's words on it seriously.
No, that's because they're ridiculous.
And so there's a guy from Fox who was an editor for Fox News at the time and decided to leave. I think he was fired for some reason or another. I don't care. And he wrote an LA Times piece talking about the fact that, Fox News is partisan, they partisan on these things. And he compares it to MSNBC. And then this is the crime, because how dare you compare that, we're also propagandists. And Oliver Darcy, the guy who was promoting that Fox News be destroyed because they exist, had a response to this that I thought was interesting.
There is, to equate what MSNBC does or some of these other outlets do with what Fox does is nonsensical. There are outlets that have opinion hosts, but they're playing in the real world, in the world of facts and reality. And Fox is spinning its own reality. And to suggest that there is an equivalence between the two, I think is not accurate and something we should really be careful to avoid.
That is just ridiculous. Rachel Maddow was the most embarrassing thing in the world.
She's MSNBC.
Yeah, well, he was defending MSNBC.
Yeah, he was MSNBC. But even then,
it's not comparable to Fox. Oh, shut up.
Like a 4-year-long witch hunt about Russia, okay?
I've got his tax returns. Look what it's going. It was nothing.
She hadn't read it.
Yeah, she hadn't read it. There's nothing in it.
People don't know. She did a whole segment. She was like, I've got Donald Trump's tax returns. This is going to be a good segment tonight. And they sort of went through it kind of live on air.
Yeah.
And there was nothing.
Yeah.
It was like, right, okay.
Trump has paid more tax than we expected him to have paid.
It made him look good.
Yeah.
But that's so yeah, they are the equivalent.
And then the Russiagate stuff. I mean, after the Mueller report came out and she's trying to gin up something, and it's like, look, he literally says there's no evidence here.
Yeah. And then Tom Elliott here, I want to give a shout out to, because he's absolutely great. Watching MSM and getting the good clips up. He tweeted this out. Just him saying that they're not comparable. And Oliver Darcy doubled down 100%. Those two aren't opposite sides of the same coin. Yeah, they are, man. Yeah. They just are. And you're on one side of that coin. Don't give us BS.
Yeah.
You are actively going after the competition here, saying they need to be shut down for saying things I don't like.
Yes.
What, you think a non-partisan actor does that?
Yeah.
You're off your damn mind.
Unreal.
I wanted to just play a last clip, which is, as you mentioned, the amount of lies the CNN in particular has told. So it's unbelievably amusing to see them try and do this thing.
Well, that's only because I wasn't bringing MSNBC into the conversation, because I assumed that it was understood that they were obvious lies.
They're so far left that it's just like, who even cares, man?
Nobody takes them seriously. Okay, CNN, what have you got to say? MSNBC did nothing wrong. Okay.
Yeah, how interesting.
I see where you are now.
I just wanted to give the most recent example. There are Elliot's made a million clips of them going back on themselves, or in stark contrast to reality. I think the most recent and best one would just be the I think it's Kenosha, Jacob Blake, the guy who there was a video went around. He was fighting with the police after the police.
The sex offender, yeah.
He was had a warrant for sex offences. Police tried to arrest him. He stormed to his car and then was shot in the back. And then people were like, "Oh, how could this happen?" Well, this was how it happened.
A disturbing story out of Wisconsin. Yet another unarmed black man shot. Disturbing video last night showed Jacob Blake, unarmed, being shot by police. A black man, father of 3, shot in the back at close range in front of his 3 children. He was unarmed. President Trump still has not commented on what happened to Jacob Blake, the unarmed black man. We all saw it. A man who appears to be completely unarmed. I agree that before any verdict comes down, there needs to be an investigation. But I don't understand why expressing sympathy for what happened and outrage that once again an unarmed black man.
I realized I had dropped my knife. I had a little pocket knife.
Right, that's why he's
so
unarmed.
I picked it up after I got off of him. I shouldn't have picked it up.
Yeah, we covered this before. It's not a small knife. It's
a big
karambit. But I wanted to get the last image up as well. Just the cost of lies. You want more? No, we don't have it, but
that's good though.
In Westeros, there should be one more. Yeah, this is Kenosha. So if you want to claim, okay, Fox News is spreading pollution about they're saying that the election wasn't legitimate or something, and therefore we had people storming the Capitol. I think 2 people directly died from that, police officer and a lady was shot. Okay, sure. If that's the standard we're going on, what happens to you? Because you guys were spreading fake news that this guy was completely unarmed. It happened again. Like, this keeps happening. How can this keep happening in America? The unarmed, innocent black men who have done nothing. Father of three, don't you know, is being shot by the
Pillar
police.
of the community.
Pillar of the community. You know, as sex offenders go.
Robbed his local church on the regular, you know. He was always in church.
Gin up this BS. I mean, you know, this pollution narrative. I mean, that's the thing. You can take everything these people say, put it back on themselves, and it's totally true. And then people went out, burned down the whole place, and as you can see, the Black Lives Matter logo on the dealership that got burnt down.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what side you're on. These people will gin up any kind of violence. And then when the violence does happen, they'll say it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Mostly peaceful.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. And I keep seeing the stuff pop up because Elliot does such a good job, and I wanted to showcase it.